I was halfway through fixing a billing pipeline that hadn't worked right since 2016 when the CEO leaned into my doorway, all smug and cologne-soaked, and said, "Hey Sandra, quick thing, Kaylee starts Monday. She'll need your office." No hello, no warning. Just dropped it on me like a wet bag of trash. Kaylee, his daughter. Fresh out of marketing school with a digital media minor and an Instagram full of duck lips and brunch mimosas. I stared at him, clipboard still in hand, brain short-circuiting from the absurdity. I'd been with this company 11 years. No scandals, no sick days, no drama. Just silent fixes, red-eye reports, and the kind of trust you don't put in a manual but absolutely need when your entire back end is held together by duct tape and faith. And now, how the brat who once asked me if Excel had an undo for real life button was going to nest in my chair and hang fairy lights from my whiteboard like it was a dorm room. I smiled. Of course. That's all I said, of course. And I meant it with the same tone you reserve for funerals and food poisoning. He didn't notice, just nodded like I'd done him a favor, and sauntered off to polish his LinkedIn summary or whatever corporate cosplay he was up to these days. I sat in that chair, my chair, for another 45 minutes. Didn't work, just stared at the wall. 11 years of my life had been quietly stacked into that space. My sticky notes, my broken chair that only I could tilt just right, the plant nobody else watered, the worn spot on the carpet where I paced during late-night deployments. And in one lazy flick of his tongue, it was being reassigned to nepotism with eyelash extensions. Now I know what you're thinking. Why didn't I fight it? Why didn't I march into his office and throw a stapler through his espresso machine? Because I'd already done that metaphorically every day for the past decade. Quietly, professionally, efficiently, and now I was done. Not angry, not even sad, just done. So I packed 3 things: my ceramic coffee mug with the chip in the rim, my hardbound notebook with a decade of handwritten disaster protocols, and a flash drive that looked like it belonged to a hacker in a B-movie. I left the rest, the second monitor, the ergonomic mouse, even the little basket of tea bags. Let Kaylee figure out which one gives you energy and which one makes you cry. And right before I shut the door behind me for what he thought was a temporary remote shift, I snapped a photo of the space. Not for nostalgia, for the post. By the way, if you're enjoying this story, 2 seconds and hit that subscribe button. No pressure, but 95% of folks listening right now aren't subscribed, and it means a lot to our little team trying to keep the stories rolling. And hey, if you like a good revenge tale with your coffee, smash that like button too. Okay, back to the story. I sent a brief note to HR, temporarily remote while office reshuffling occurs. Available via Slack and email. Technically true. Monday rolled around like it always does, and I watched from home as Kaylee posted a boomerang on her Instagram story, her twirling in my old chair with a caption that said, "Big girl job, nail sparkles." There was a ring light in the background. A goddamn ring light. I zoomed in and noticed she'd already pinned some kind of girl boss decal over my wall calendar. I wondered if she even knew what the fiscal year was. Emails started coming in. Nothing crazy, just the kind of, "Hey Sandra, do you know where the vendor agreement went?" Messages that normally got answered before they were even asked. I ignored them, not because I was being petty, but because I no longer worked there. Not really. My body wasn't in the building, and my goodwill had left the premises the moment I saw her pink water bottle where my coffee mug used to be. While the CEO bragged about his daughter's natural leadership aura in his weekly team email, I opened a spreadsheet of my own, one labeled Plan B. Because while they were busy redecorating my legacy with ring lights and scented candles, I had already started building my exit. Quietly, carefully, permanently. The last time I saw that office, the sun had hit the desk just right. Golden hour through smudged blinds, casting that weird grid shadow across the floor I used to mop myself when the janitor got cut. I stood there for a second, sipping from my chipped mug, black coffee, no sugar, the way you drink it when life's been roasting you on high since 2008. There wasn't a box. No cardboard funeral procession down the hall. Just my notebook, stuffed fat with years of scribbled panic buttons and color-coded contingencies. My mug, the little black flash drive with no label and too much power. It held the backdoors, the scripts, the automation triggers. Basically, the digital version of duct tape that kept the company's limbs from falling off during quarter close. Nobody ever asked where the magic lived. They were just happy the mess cleaned itself up every time. I shut the door behind me soft. Not a slam, not a statement. Just done. Walked out past reception like I was headed to grab lunch, not vanish from existence. Nobody noticed. That was the point. I'd built a career on invisibility, the kind of presence that only becomes obvious once it's gone, like the rhythm of a heartbeat or the hum of a fridge. You only realize it mattered when it stops. I typed the message to HR while I sat in my car, engine running but going nowhere. Hi June, just a heads up. Transitioning to remote temporarily while we complete the office reshuffle. Available via email as always. No emotion, no signature flourish. Just clean and polite like a breakup text you send from the driveway. Hit send. Watch the little checkmark appear. Then I turned my phone off. I didn't log into Slack. Didn't schedule out of office replies. Just evaporated. That Monday, Kaylee rolled in like a homecoming queen entering a funeral parlor. Her LinkedIn got updated before she even sat down. Operations Assistant Digital Growth Specialist Future CEO Briefcase Sparkles. I got that from a coworker who screenshotted it and texted, "Your replacement's here." She brought a mood board. She brought a whole lot more than that, apparently. Ring light, fuchsia desk mat, framed quote that said hustle until your haters hire you, which made me choke on my cereal. She spent the morning filming a first day at work vlog, complete with slow-motion hallway struts and a latte montage. Meanwhile, the invoices I usually cleared by 9 a.m. sat unbothered. The customer success dashboard blinked red. One of our big clients had flagged a delivery delay. The calendar invite I used to send every Monday morning never got created, but nobody panicked. Not yet. They figured I'd handle it eventually, like I always did. Thing is, I wasn't, not this time. I wasn't fixing anything. I wasn't correcting email typos at midnight, or rewriting the sales deck behind the intern's back, or ghostwriting CEO emails to sound like someone who'd read a book. I was done. While Kaylee stapled pink velvet to the back of my chair and asked IT to help her hook up her Vibe playlist to the conference room speakers, I opened a new tab in my home office, also known as the breakfast nook I'd converted during lockdown, and started filing the LLC paperwork for something called Wren Strategies. Wren was my mother's name. She taught me how to read contracts when I was 12, standing in the kitchen of our 2-bedroom rental while spaghetti boiled. She once said, "The quiet ones don't get credit, baby, but they get leverage." I didn't get it back then. I do now. I wasn't planning a comeback. I was planning a replacement me, but freelance. Me, unchained from clowns in tailored suits who gave away my chair like it was a party favor. I built a service menu. Operations triage, workflow audits, crisis cleanup, stuff I already did, but now with a price tag. My first inquiry came that afternoon from a mid-sized vendor we used to rely on for international freight. "Hey Sandra, heard you were consulting now. We're drowning in cross-border compliance issues. You available for a call?" I didn't answer right away. I watched as 3 more emails came in. Then a 4th from someone who still hadn't realized I wasn't in the building. No one noticed yet. No alarms, no red flags. That was the beauty of it. You don't scream when the lights flicker. You wait until everything goes dark. I just leaned back, sipped my coffee, and let the dimming begin. Tuesday morning came and went, and for the first time in 11 years, Executive Weekly Report didn't arrive in the inboxes of the senior staff by 8:15 a.m. sharp. No graph-laden PDF. No snarky subject line. No carefully color-coded bullet points summarizing performance metrics, vendor SLAs, or customer escalations. Just silence where order used to live. By 10:30, someone from finance pinged Kaylee. "Hey, do you know where the ops status report is?" Sandra usually sends it. Kaylee replied with a thumbs-up emoji. A full hour passed. Nothing followed. By noon, the sales VP sent a more pointed message. "Need that report before my pitch at 1 o'clock. Can someone grab it off the shared drive?" Problem was, the report didn't live on the shared drive. It never had. The data sources were linked manually. The spreadsheet was tied to rotating API tokens, only I refreshed, eating into a custom script I wrote in 2019 to prevent the entire dashboard from crashing every time our CRM hiccuped. Nobody knew that but me. I sat cross-legged on the floor of my living room with a legal pad and a pen, organizing client tiers for my new consultancy. Tier 1, full operations audit. Tier 2, crisis intervention. Tier 3, monthly retainer with vendor management. I sipped lukewarm coffee and let the work emails keep coming. Another one popped up around 1:15. this time from the CEO's assistant. Hi, Sandra, small hiccup. Can you resend the master vendor tracker? Kaylee can't find it in your old drive folder. Cute, your old drive folder. As if I'd just misplaced it. As if it didn't require a rotating key, I manually updated every 2 weeks and a backup script that sent a timestamped clone to an encrypted external device, which now sat plugged into my personal laptop while I built a branded template for Ren strategies. I didn't answer. Let them squint at broken spreadsheets and try to fix pivot tables that hadn't moved in years. I'd built an entire ecosystem on quiet efficiency, and now they were finding out what happened when the air got sucked out of the room. But still, no real panic, just mild confusion. They thought I was offsite, on Slack, but just quiet, maybe a little moody, maybe overreacting to the office reassignment. I was none of those things. I was busy. At 2:40, another message from HR. Hey Sandra, just checking in to make sure you're settling into remote work okay. Let us know if you need anything. I ignored that one too. Instead, I created a Google form titled Client Intake Questionnaire Ren Strategies. Underneath the logo I'd mocked up in Canva, a minimalist wren perched on a data chart, I wrote, tell me what's broken. I'll tell you what it'll cost to fix. I'd kept a running list for years. Clients I trusted, ones I liked working with, ones who used to whisper you're the only reason this company still runs after calls. They'd come around, not all, but enough. And when they did, I'd be ready. By 3:15, supply chain manager flagged a halted renewal with our packaging vendor. Apparently, the automated contract extension script failed to trigger because it didn't exist. That one was me, manually handled once a month after cross-checking margin thresholds, all of which were logged in my black notebook, sitting safely on my kitchen counter. At 4:22, Kaylee posted another photo to her Instagram story. Her desk, my desk, with a motivational caption. First week energy, manifesting magic and managing metrics. Sparkling chart sparkles, I screenshotted it, not for revenge, just for the scrapbook. Maybe someday I'd frame it. Meanwhile, the contracts team scrambled to fix the packaging delay by resending outdated terms. The vendor replied, these conditions are no longer valid. Please reach out to Sandra, we only deal with her. That email got forwarded to me at 5:03. I let it sit. By then, I'd mapped out a 6-month strategy for Ren strategies. The retainer structure, NDA template, onboarding packet. A list of which old clients I'd reach out to first and which I'd let come crawling on their own. It felt calm, not triumphant, not vindictive, just clean. A separation of church and state, chaos and control. I wasn't burning bridges, I was pulling out the screws one by one and watching the structure sag under its own weight. And still, no one had called, not really. No alarms, no Sandra, we need you. Just a few friendly check-ins, a handful of hey, real quick emails. No one realized yet that I was gone for good. But they would, eventually. You always notice the scaffolding when it starts falling on your head. By Thursday, the cracks weren't just showing, they were starting to echo. It began with a forward from a long-term logistics client, kind of client who doesn't call unless something's bleeding. Subject line, Sandra, the message read, plain and sharp. We need Sandra to confirm the EDI sequence. No one else seems to understand how the manual override works. Is she still with you? That email got passed from the client liaison to the project manager, who kicked it over to Kaylee with a hopeful, can you handle this? Kaylee, in true varsity sweater fashion, replied, totally. Sandra's just on a quick break, smiling face with smiling eyes, but I'll circle back with her and get you sorted. She copied no one, attached nothing. And then, because she couldn't help herself, she added a star emoji and a hashtag. #women-in-ops. The client didn't respond. I saw the whole thing because the client BCC'd my personal Gmail. Subject line, not sure what's going on, but keeping you in the loop. They knew. Not the details, not the drama. They knew something was wrong. People like that, longtime partners, supply chain veterans, contract lifers, they don't need red flags. They hear the silence between the gears and know a bearing's about to snap. Meanwhile, back at HQ, the CEO was busy hosting a company-wide livestream. Title, Vision 2026, Disruption and Digital Legacy. Kaylee stood next to him like a pre-programmed mascot, nodding solemnly while he dropped buzzwords like scalable synergy and transformational bandwidth. I watched from home, popcorn in hand. When he introduced her as the next generation of operational leadership, my cat coughed up a hairball, which felt metaphorically accurate. The only thing Kaylee had successfully scaled was the coffee machine height setting. But her LinkedIn, Oh, it was thriving. New banner. Professional headshot with studio lighting. IO updated to Ops executive in training strategic visionary coffee enthusiast hot sparkles. She was the CEO's daughter. She was untouchable and clueless. Dangerous in a way only well-connected mediocrity can be. Funny thing is, she kept telling people I was shadowing her remotely. Shadowing. Like I was some kind of ghost intern peeking through the Wi-Fi, waiting for her to beam in a task. I didn't correct anyone. Why should I? Let the myth spread. I updated my LinkedIn, too. Nothing flashy. Just real. Founder Strategic Operations Consultant Ren Strategies, LLC within 3 hours. I had 5 connection requests from vendors, former clients, even a former coworker who once called me the duct tape of this place in a quarterly toast. I accepted them all. By Friday, a European supplier flagged a shipment delay. No one had confirmed the unit count for customs. That was me. Always had been. I'd built a conditional logic flow in our portal years ago to auto-alert when units dipped below a risk threshold. Kaylee had disabled it, claimed it was too aggressive, and made her anxious. Now the shipment was sitting in a Rotterdam warehouse, customs breathing down someone's neck, and the VP of procurement was texting in all caps. Whereas Sandra, she texted it to the CEO. He didn't respond. He was too busy tagging Kaylee in his post about raising leaders, not just daughters, and in the background I was building. I'd rented a PO box, bought the domain, designed invoice templates that didn't look like they were made in WordPad. I even booked a call with a client who said, and I quote, "I don't care who signs the checks, Sandra. We just want things to work again." The best part, my phone hadn't rung once. No groveling, no begging, not yet, just confusion, discomfort, early signs of a system realizing it's missing its spine. I didn't miss the office. I missed nothing. Not the buzzing fluorescent lights, not the recycled air, not the forced laughter in Monday stand-ups. I had sunlight, a desk that wasn't stolen, and control. Let them guess where I was. Let them call it a vacation, a sabbatical, a nervous breakdown. Let Kaylee smile through it with her motivational desktop wallpaper and her color-coded Post-its, because the more she answered on my behalf, the louder the silence became. By Monday, the polite questions had curdled into real problems. The first bomb dropped at 8:03 a.m. Eastern. A red flag compliance notice hit the inbox of our top-tier client, the one with government contracts, airtight security standards, and lawyers who sleep with one eye open. The subject line read, "Data transmission failure. Urgent response required inside." List of missed data packets, unverified timestamp mismatches, and one damning sentence. This protocol breach may constitute a violation of Appendix C, continued service suspension pending resolution. Appendix C was no joke. Appendix C meant fines, public disclosures, possibly litigation. For the last 8 years, I'd handled that protocol manually, twice a week. Logged in with dual-factor authentication, verified packet delivery against internal timestamps, and manually submitted secondary confirmations through their private portal. No script, no automation, just me. Every Tuesday and Friday at 6 a.m. sharp. Nobody else knew how to do it. Hell, nobody else even knew it was being done. By 8:17, the internal chain reaction had begun. Kaylee, God bless her clueless little heart, sent a message to the client. "Thanks for the heads up. Our IT team is looking into it." Sandra is still overseeing some of these back-end transitions, remotely smiling briefcase sparkles. The client didn't respond. They sent a cease processing order instead. That's when the CEO finally called me. The name popped up on my phone like a mosquito buzzing through an open window. I let it ring twice, then picked up. "Sandra, hey, small hiccup. We had a little mix-up with the compliance portal this morning. Total tech glitch. Probably something simple. Just wondering if you had a second to jump in and maybe take a look." His voice had changed. That confident bark he always used in meetings was gone, replaced by this tight, papery tone like he was smiling while choking on glass. I didn't answer right away. I let the silence stretch just long enough to make him uncomfortable. Then I said, "I'm unavailable." He coughed. "Right, of course. Totally understand. I mean, I wouldn't normally ask, but this is that one weird thing you always handled, super small. 5 minutes tops." "No," I said, calm as ice. "I mean, I'm unavailable in general. But I do offer remote consulting now. If needed." I could hear it then, the crack. That moment when someone realizes they're not talking to the same person they used to own. Not a subordinate, not a lifeline, just a number on a rate sheet. "Oh, well, I guess we could figure something out." Maybe just shoot over your what hourly? I work on retainer, I replied. 3-month minimum, non-refundable. He went quiet. I could picture him blinking at his screen like a toddler watching a light switch stop working. I knew he wouldn't bite, not yet. He still thought this was fixable, that I was bluffing. Send me your info, he muttered. We'll talk later. Sure, I said and hung up. I didn't send anything. Meanwhile, my inbox bloomed. One client asked if I was still handling the monthly escalation reviews. Another asked if I had a copy of the old KPI rollout model. A third offered to loop me in off the record to help realign the partnership that was tanking by the hour. I answered none of them, not yet. I was working on something more important, a pricing matrix for REN strategies. Tiered packages, custom add-ons, rush fees. I labeled the highest tier catastrophic containment, and yes, priced it accordingly. Back at HQ, Kaylee posted another story, her sitting cross-legged on the floor with 2 interns, captioned, "Teamwork makes the dream work." Brainstorming how to do big things. Sparkling brain glowing the dream was unraveling. That afternoon, finance paused the quarterly invoice to our largest partner, same one who flagged the compliance issue. The partner wouldn't pay until the portal was fixed, the data re-verified, and most importantly, Andra reinstated. But I wasn't coming back. I wasn't the janitor anymore, not the fixer, not the ghost in the server room who saved them from themselves. I was something else now, something more dangerous, unaffiliated, unapologetic, and for the first time in a decade, unavailable. The email came in at 9:12 a.m. sharp, like HR thought punctuality could still fix things. Subject: return to office confirmation needed, body. Hi Sandra, hope you're doing well. As part of our reintegration plan, we're finalizing in-office schedules. Please confirm your return to office date so we can reserve space accordingly. Let us know if you have any accommodations or equipment needs. Best, June people ops smiling face with smiling eyes. I read it 3 times before replying. There is none. My office was reassigned. No greeting, no closing. Just that, sent, delivered, archived. I knew June would stare at it like it was written in Klingon. HR always struggled when things didn't fit the boxes on their spreadsheet. But mine was a truth too clean to be misunderstood. You gave my office away. Now you can keep it. That same morning, Kaylee missed her first real deadline. Not a small one, a contractual one. A 3-client onboarding flow with staggered deliverables and a rolling compliance review, something I used to run in my sleep with nothing but a binder clip and a calendar reminder. She missed the first delivery checkpoint by 2 days, then the second by 6 hours. The third didn't happen at all, and when the client finally asked who their point of contact was, nobody had an answer. They left just like that. 12 years of partnership evaporated. 2 others went quiet, not angry, not dramatic, just silent. Emails went unread. Invoices sat in limbo. By Thursday, the CRM flagged them as high churn risk. Friday, one flipped their status to inactive. The mood inside the company shifted. You could feel it in the Zoom calls, long pauses, forced smiles, Kaylee's voice climbing into that fake cheerful register like she was trying to sweeten rotting meat. The CEO called an emergency alignment session. Had everyone turned cameras on. Kaylee sat beside him, shoulders squared, lips tight, could almost hear the hinges straining on her illusion of control. He said all the things they say when a company's foundation starts to leak. We're weathering a temporary realignment. We're working through some operational kinks. We're grateful for your patience as we transition leadership roles. Nobody asked where I was. Not out loud. But the questions had begun to spread in Slack threads, breakroom whispers, linked in DMs. My name was showing up in places it hadn't for years. Only now it was attached to words like gone, fired, or the one they were most afraid of, consulting. Because here's the thing, most companies can survive disorganization. They can survive bad hires and budget cuts and even layoffs. But they can't survive doubt. And now the staff had it. That creeping, stomach-souring doubt that the person who quietly kept the lights on might have been more than just convenient. I'd have been the last line of defense. While they circled their drain, I signed my first private client. Irony alert, it was one of our former B2B partners, someone I'd worked with for years, someone the CEO once called a budget liability during a closed-door meeting. They reached out to me directly. Subject, do you still fix things? I didn't hesitate. We set up a call, walked through their pain points. I pitched my Tier 2 package, took it without blinking. Wire transfer hit my account the next day. I didn't celebrate with champagne. I celebrated with silence. The good kind. The kind you earn when the noise of the old world fades and the new one hums just loud enough to tell you it's real. At noon, I updated my portfolio, added the client's logo to a private deck, drafted a one-page summary of the system's overhaul I'd start Monday. I was still working, still building, just no longer for them. And the whispers, they were growing. You could see it in how fast people started reactivating their old LinkedIn profiles, how open-to-work banners started popping up like dandelions. One even messaged me, "Hey Sandra, if Ren Strategies ever needs support, I'd love to help out. Things are weird over here." Yeah, weird has a name. Her name is Kaylee, and she brought a ring light to a knife fight. They thought I'd gone quiet out of spite, but I'd gone quiet out of strategy. And now, the cracks weren't just showing, they were spreading. By the following Wednesday, the wheels weren't just wobbling, they were flying off mid-intersection, sparks and all. It started during the weekly ops sync. What used to be a tight, 30-minute rhythm under my watch had now bloated into a chaotic, hour-long mess of confusion, missed handoffs, and long silences that smelled like panic sweat. I wasn't there, obviously. Two people sent me the same audio clip, recorded from their phones under the table. "Kaylee, losing it. I don't know what you want me to do," she screamed, voice cracking halfway through. "Nobody taught me any of this. There's no documentation, the spreadsheets are all broken, and half the vendors only talk to Sandra." Then, a loud slap, her notebook hitting the table, hard, followed by a teary, furious exhale and the soft, shameful silence of adults realizing they've hired a child to steer the ship into the rocks. Nobody said anything for a full 8 seconds. You could hear someone's phone vibrate, and the faint squeak of someone else pushing their chair back to flee the blast radius. It didn't go over well. Morale, already brittle, began to collapse. People stopped trying to fix things and started screenshotting them. Missed deadlines became punchlines in Slack. Vendors ghosted emails. Compliance team quietly asked legal if Kaylee's meltdown counted as a hostile work environment. And in finance, the cracks Sandra used to seal with midnight reconciliations finally burst wide open. They flagged 16 invoices that hadn't been matched to delivery logs. Another 4 were unpaid entirely. 3 had gone to the wrong clients. And 1, my personal favorite, had been sent to ourselves. Turns out, when the person manually verifying vendor deliveries, cross-matching them with PO numbers, and submitting approvals disappears, bad things happen. Real bad, like clients asking for forensic audits bad. The head of finance sent a message to the CEO, "We need to talk. This can't be blamed on Q3 slowdowns. Something fundamental is broken." The CEO tried to fix it the only way he knew how, panic. He sent me a string of texts. 8:41 a.m. Sandra, can we talk today? 9:05 a.m. I think we all moved too fast. Let's reset. 10:12 a.m. we'll find you a better office. Just please come in, we'll fix this. 11:47 a.m. this is getting serious. I'm asking you as a friend of the company. By noon the text stopped because I blocked the number. No dramatic message, no flourish, just gone. I didn't need to explain myself. He already knew. They all did. The fantasy that I was still part of the team, just remote or cooling off, finally shattered. My silence wasn't temporary, it was policy. Kaylee kept trying to cover ground, but the harder she sprinted, the more obvious it became. She had no idea what she was doing. She made everything worse. Pitched wild fixes in meetings, rewrote vendor scripts that broke integrations, deleted a shared drive folder that, legend had it, housed the only working copy of the Q2 earnings slide deck. Staff started making jokes behind her back. Kaylee'd it became a verb. As in, he Kaylee'd the whole project. Or this client's about to get Kaylee'd, and I watched it unfold from my window with a cup of strong coffee and stronger boundaries. I had 3 more clients in the pipeline, all warm, all circling. One sent a contract that afternoon with a note, full retainer. No interview, just do what you do. I did. Firm that once said I was too behind the scenes for leadership was now drowning because they couldn't recreate the very scenes I used to run. Every workflow was a card I'd placed just so. Every success, a plate I'd spun without applause. Now the floor was covered in broken china and silence, and I wasn't picking any of it up. He showed up at my door like a raccoon crawling out of a trash fire. Sweat-stained dress shirt, tie askew like it was strangling him. Designer blazer he always wore to casual board meetings was gone, replaced by a windbreaker with a stain that looked suspiciously like vending machine coffee. Eyes red-rimmed, skin gray, hair uncombed. I almost didn't recognize him. Almost. He rang once, then knocked, then rang again, longer this time, like holding the bell would somehow signal urgency. I opened the door with my mug in one hand and no expression on my face. "Sandra," he said, breathless. "Please, can I talk to you?" I stepped aside without saying a word. Not out of kindness, out of curiosity. I wanted to see how much he'd aged in 7 days. He walked in slowly, like each step cost him pride. Sat on the edge of the couch like he didn't know if he'd be staying long. His hands shook. Not from nerves, from exhaustion. The kind that doesn't go away with sleep, because it comes from realizing everything you dismissed as trivial was actually structural. "Drowning," he said. "The systems, the clients, Kaylee," he stopped, laughed bitterly. "She's not ready. I thought she just needed time, but she doesn't know where anything is. No one knows how anything works anymore." I said nothing. I just let him talk. Words spilled out like he was trying to vomit up every mistake he'd swallowed in the last week. The vendor pipelines jammed. Compliance flagged 2 more issues. We've lost 4 clients in 5 days. Finance is in open revolt. I have board members asking me if this whole thing was being run by a ghost. A ghost. That one almost made me smile. He leaned forward, hands clasped, eyes desperate. "I know things got mismanaged, but we need you. We need you to come back." I walked into the kitchen. Not to escape, just to grab the folder. It was already printed, already waiting. A clean white binder with a single page inside. My consulting rates. Handed it to him like a waiter handing a bill after a quiet meal. He opened it. 3 tiers. 90-day minimums, upfront retainers. No discounts, no sliding scale, no old friend pricing. His face fell in slow motion. Like he thought this was going to be a favor. Like he still believed I was playing a game where he got to write the rules. He stopped. "We can't afford this." I nodded once, "I know." He stared at me like I'd just slapped him. "Couldn't afford to lose me either," I said, soft. No anger, just the facts, but you did. Silence sat between us for a while, thick, final. He set the folder down on the coffee table like it weighed more than it did, stared at it like it might sprout wings and fly away with his last hope. I let him sit there. I didn't try to fill the space. I didn't offer coffee or pity or a single reason to think this was negotiable. Because it wasn't. He finally stood, slow and heavy, picked up the folder, tucked it under one arm like a letter from a war he'd lost before realizing he was even drafted. "Think about it," he muttered, not even looking at me. "Please." I opened the door. He walked out without another word. I watched him cross the lawn to his car. A sleek German thing he'd once bragged was a power move in motion. It looked ridiculous now, like a tuxedo on a drowning man. He didn't start the engine right away, sat behind the wheel, gripping it like it might offer answers. Then, finally, he drove away. I stood at the threshold of my home, my real office now, and took a deep breath, not out of relief, out of confirmation. The empire I held together for 11 years had finally collapsed under the weight of its own arrogance, and all I had to do was nothing. 1 week later, the illusion shattered like safety glass under a hammer. The email went out quietly, no all hands, no dramatic Slack posts. Just a soft, sanitized subject line, organizational restructuring announcement inside, a paragraph about streamlining, a second one about shifting priorities, and a final line that boiled down to what everyone already knew: layoffs. Effective immediately. 14 people, some of them new hires. Some who'd been there longer than Kaylee had known how to spell logistics. No severance details. No mention of who was responsible. The message was clear. They were bleeding. Fast. 2 major clients, ones I had built relationships with over years of late-night troubleshooting and last-minute rollouts, announced they were reevaluating partnerships in public press statements. A day later, both signed onboarding contracts with Wren Strategies. That's me, in case you forgot. Their emails came through like oxygen through a straw. Short, decisive, grateful. Ready to move forward. Let us know what you need. And my personal favorite, glad to finally be working with the real brain behind the old firm. I didn't gloat. I didn't post about it. No victory lap. Just quiet efficiency. Contracts signed, invoices issued, operations stabilized. Exactly what they paid me for. Meanwhile, at HQ, Kaylee vanished. Literally. One day her photo was up on the team page, arms crossed, confident grin, the usual boss babe energy. Next day, gone. She'd been erased with a damp rag. Someone from the dev team forwarded me a screenshot of the internal org chart. Where her name had been, a blank space. No title, no forwarding email, just empty. I didn't ask what happened, didn't care. The office she'd taken, my old one, the one with the groove in the carpet where my chair used to roll, sat dark now. Nobody else wanted it. Word was, someone from facilities kept the door locked to preserve the space. I nearly laughed when I heard that. They were preserving a mistake, a monument to ego over competence. Let them, because while they were busy erasing names and praying the bleeding would stop, I was on a call with their biggest client, the one they couldn't afford to lose, the one I used to handle personally, like a bomb with a heartbeat. They wanted a long-term retainer, not just crisis support, ownership, process audits, vendor management, executive training, whole package. The contract came through in the evening, 7 figures. I signed it with a stylus while eating cold Thai food at my kitchen table. When the confirmation pinged in, I leaned back and stared at my screen. And then I opened my device settings, navigated to accounts, found the old work email still sitting there, dormant, like a corpse nobody had buried, tapped delete account. The spinning wheel started. The little progress bar crawled across. Just like that, gone. No explosion, no final message, no forwarded emails or just-in-case archive. I didn't quit, not officially. Never handed in a resignation. Never packed up a box with a sad little plant and walked out under flickering fluorescence. I just stopped showing up. And when they gave my office away, I gave them silence. Now, they sit in the wreckage of what they never understood, while I build something no one can take from me again. Appreciate you sticking around, you wise old rebels. Smash that subscribe button, or this fossil might just cause another epic fiasco.